Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. Hit that thumbs up button if you enjoy it. Subscribe to the channel for more content on writing, book marketing, and crime fiction. Comment down below if you have any questions, concerns, just want to say hello. I will respond to all the comments. And follow me on Twitter. I post daily marketing tips and I give some updates on my writing and talk about the writing process. So let's get into it. Today, I want to talk about the order of operations, the things you want to be doing really before you start your marketing. So this is before you write any copy, before you make any ads. This is the stuff you need to know going into it and the order of importance of each of these steps. And first and foremost comes your audience. You want to know that right off the bat, and you want to know it well. So put a circle around this, start, do whatever you have to do, because this is the most important part. Number one. And you want to be asking, who are they, right? And where do they hang out? Now, if you're writing fiction, right, the who probably is going to come down to an issue of genre. Or I guess category is the better word for it these days, because with online book sales, like on Amazon, they divide everything by category and subcategory. So it's not just genre and subgenre anymore. But genres typically have subject matters, right? They have tropes, they have all that good stuff. And it comes down to creating a certain experience for the audience. And before you start writing, you probably have a pretty good idea what genre your book falls into. So start when you're looking for your audience and trying to define who they are. Look for the people who want the experience your book provides, the people who want the value that your book provides. And value is a word you're going to hear all the time on this channel. Because marketing comes down to providing value for people, right? We want to convey to them that our product, our book, has the value that they are looking for. And genre was created by book distributors, booksellers in the 70s to kind of compartmentalize the market and divide it up based on the experiences people wanted and the value that people wanted, right? So we as marketers can tap into that and use that to sell our books. So that's pretty simple so far. Now, if you're writing nonfiction, okay, like a how-to book, it's probably going to come down to the purpose of the book, the problem that the book will solve, right? What advice are you giving? What pain points are you satisfying? If you come to this channel for marketing advice, right, the problem that my videos are solving are that you need marketing advice, right? So that's how I categorize this channel and bring people in. You guys are my audience because you're coming for the answers to this particular problem, right? You're coming for the value, again, it always goes back to that my channel can provide. And then where do they hang out? Back in the day when traditional media was the only way to go about it, the issue of where was a little bit more difficult, right? But now thanks to online, we have things like social media, pages, groups, all that good stuff, where people go and divide themselves into groups. We have forums, same basic thing. We have Reddit. We have YouTube. So all of these places online are good sources, right? Do some research, find out where your people hang out. And usually on these places, social media, forums, Reddit, YouTube, any number of them, people will be talking about their pain points. They'll be talking about the experience that they want. So you can learn by researching these places who and what's important to them. Okay? And it's important to have empathy for your audience, right? We're not just selling them things. We're trying to get in their heads and understand what value they want and need and what experience we can provide that will give them that value. So go beyond demographics. I mean, you want demographics too. It's marketing. But try to go beyond it. Go deeper. It's that deeper stuff, the experience, the value, the empathy, that's going to give you a deeper connection with the readers that you try to attract. And that is going to be the way to turn them into fans who will keep buying books from you and follow you. So this is really important right here. This is why audience is the number one thing, right? And of course, the other reason is you don't want to be marketing to the wrong people, right? The best marketing to the wrong audience will make your book fail faster, because more people will find out that it's not the experience they want, and they'll leave bad reviews, and they'll talk crap about it, and then other people will stay away thinking it's not the book for them, when in fact it might have been. But you marketed to the wrong audience, so the wrong people saw it, right? So you want to find the right people, the ones who are looking for, again, the value that you're providing. That's how it works. Okay? The other important thing to know is that marketers don't create desire, right? That's not what this is about. What we do is we direct it. So imagine you had a taco truck, right? And you decided to park it up outside a pizza lovers convention. Well, you might sell a few tacos, but imagine if you parked your taco truck up outside of a taco lovers convention, right? You're not creating the desire for tacos. You're just directing people who want the value you're providing to you. And that's what we're trying to do with the marketing of our books. We want to direct people who like the experience and the value our book provides to us. And that's what audience is all about. And again, it's the most important step of the process. You have to know your audience, which is why it is number one on this list. And I'll do some more videos about audience specifically because it is so important. For now, let's move on to number 2, which is the big idea. Now, if you ever watched Mad Men, or you know about advertising and copywriting, you'll know that this is a big deal. Everybody wants to come up with the next big idea in advertising. All right, there was the Super Bowl commercial that Tide ran, a series of Super Bowl commercials, where the point they were making was everybody in every commercial you would see that night was wearing clean clothes. So were those commercials advertising other products, or were they really Tide commercials, right? It's big idea type stuff. So what is the big idea of your marketing made up of? It's the marketing message. It's the whole point of what you're doing. It's going to define the value that you're providing for people. And it's made up of 2 components. First is the promise you're going to make them, plus the unique mechanism. Now, the promise is going to tell people where in the market your product sits, right? So in the case of books, this might be the promise that a genre makes. This communicates the experience that the reader is expecting to have. And so the promise that a crime thriller makes, right, is going to be very different from a sweet romance, which will be very different from a literary book. But it should promise the experience that that market of fiction provides. Okay? And again, maybe category is the better term for this in this day and age. All right? And it's the same promise that your competitors will be making. But it tells them where in the book market you live, what kind of value you're going to provide, kind of at a broader level. Now you might be thinking, but what will set my book apart from my competition, right? What's going to tell them that my book is different? Well, that's the unique mechanism right there, right? This is your unique take on that promise. Okay, so what makes your book different from the others in its market? And for authors, that could be things like setting is a good one, style, right? Anything that makes you tick as a writer. Like for me, I love dialogue and I love style. I love playing with the sound of the writing. So that's something that I could highlight in my marketing that sets me apart, right? I write different dialogue and in a different style than the typical crime thriller out there. But my books fulfill the promises of the other books in the genre. It's just that this is what makes mine unique, okay? This is the thing that sets mine apart. And what you want to be thinking about, again, going back to audience, who are the readers who are going to take value from each of these two things, right? Who wants this promise that'll orient you in the market from a genre perspective? And who wants your unique mechanism? What kind of readers would like the cool things that you're doing, the things that make you excited as a writer, and probably as a reader too? So that's a good place for audience research. Look at the authors that you enjoy that are really good at the same kind of things your unique mechanism is. And then you can target fans of those other authors, right? So promise makes the same experience promise as the rest of your genre, right? Tells them that if they're looking for the value that genre provides, your book will deliver it. But you're going to put your own twist on it with the unique mechanism. So it's not going to be just like a monotonous reading experience for them. It's not going to be like every other crime novel or every other romance novel or, every other literary novel. When they read you, they're going to get this. So that's the big idea. Again, this should be part of your marketing efforts. It should be in your ads. It should be on your website, in your sales description. So next, what I'm going to show you to do is communicate that, right? I'm going to look at how we go about telling them, showing them, proving to them that we have a promise and we have a unique mechanism and we're going to deliver it and they can count on us to do so. And that leads us to number 3, the irresistible offer. Okay. Now notice the word irresistible, right? It's a very hyperbolic word, very focused on emotion, right? And that's exactly what this is. You want to make them an emotional offer they can't refuse. It's one of my favorite phrases, offer you can't refuse, as a crime fiction fan, for obvious reasons. Right? And it focuses on the emotional experience they have reading your book. So the big idea, right, makes a promise about what kind of experience they can expect. But this irresistible offer focuses on the emotions you get from that experience. So from a romance perspective, what emotions would you expect to experience reading that kind of book, right? What kind of emotions would you expect from a thriller, right? Well, you want to be thrilled. You want to be excited all the way through, right? If it's a literary novel, maybe it's a deep dive into the internal journey of a character, into their psyche, tortured soul kind of story. So what emotions will a character go through in the book? And maybe that's the emotions that the reader's going to experience vicariously through them, okay? This is the emotional pull, right? So this is how you start communicating your big idea. Focus on the emotional pull of your writing. And we'll go to number 4, which is the marketing argument. All right, so you've already told them what emotions they can expect, what emotions you're going to deliver, right? Now you need to convince them, right? Arguments are meant to convince people that you are actually going to provide everything you just promised, right? So this is where you're going to be using claims, proof, and evidence to back up everything you just said. All right? Again, logic. We had emotion first. Now we are looking at logic. And this is the logical push. Okay. So some ways of doing this are reviews, right? If a book's got 4 or 5 stars, that offers what's called social proof, which means that other people have liked it, other people think it produces the value that they wanted. It might be awards, maybe endorsements from other authors, right? So from a professional standpoint, there's proof that the book lives up to its hype. And it could be one of the best things to have on your books, that lovely word right there, which of course all of us probably aspire to get someday, whether it's on Amazon, USA Today, New York Times, whatever it might be. Having this is never a bad way to convince somebody, right? It's never a bad argument that you're going to deliver the value that you've promised in your big idea, in your irresistible offer. Okay? Got a lot of arrows on the screen. Sorry about that. Hopefully you can follow all of it. So once you have those 4 things, you're in good shape, and only then do you start to look at number 5, which is the copy, right? Because the copy, the ad itself, the sales description on your Amazon page, the copy on your website, that stuff needs to communicate your big idea to your audience by using first an emotional hook, that is the irresistible offer, and then backing it up with the logical argument. Okay? There's another concept of marketing, which is first you seduce the heart. Second, you convince the brain. So your marketing goes in that order. And if you watch some commercials, right, and really analyze how they work, first they tug at your heart, whether it's, a sad commercial or just a funny commercial, right? They'll give you a joke maybe first and get you happy, get you laughing. And then they'll give you their pitch and back it up with logic and statistics and all that good stuff, right? Something like the Febreze commercials that you've seen out there. They start with the joke about the bathroom. You love your bathroom, but sometimes it stinks. And then the music starts, and you see people spraying, and they talk about how great Febreze is, right? They get you in with the fun, entertaining stuff to seduce the heart, and then they're going to show you how great the product works, which is convincing the brain. And authors can do the exact same thing, right? So some things that seduce the heart and convey the irresistible offer. How about the cover, right? The color scheme on your cover, the font, all of that conveys genre. It conveys the experience and gets you to feel some kind of emotion when you look at it, right? This is why you judge a book by its cover. They tell you not to, but we all do. And it's a gut emotional response, right? It's irresistible. We can't help judging a book by its cover. Okay? So the cover does that. The sales description, which is also usually the back cover blurb, right? If you ever tried to write one of these, or if you haven't, just try to copy one out from your favorite book, it'll feel like you're using a lot of hyperbole and you're exaggerating everything a whole lot. But when you read it, as a reader who's interested in the book, it doesn't necessarily feel hyperbolic. But remember, I said irresistible itself is a hyperbolic word. And that's exactly the point, because the sales description, like the cover, is trying to seduce the heart, right? It's still talking about that emotional experience. It's trying to get you hyped and pumped about the story so that you'll buy the book. Okay? And notice on Amazon, the way they lay out their sales pages, what are the first 2 things your eyes are drawn to, right? The cover and the sales description. You're going to look at those 2 things first, because they're trying to seduce your heart first. And then what are you going to look at? Probably the reviews, okay, which we already said was part of the marketing argument. Social proof. If other people like the book and took value from it, well, probably you will too, right? As long as you're in the same audience as them, you will too. And the reviews convince you of that. And probably going to look at the first pages, right? Amazon's first look feature. And the first pages are really what sells the book. I mean, this is why you always hear people say, make sure your first chapter is awesome. And especially the first page, the first few paragraphs, right? Because if those don't convince the reader to buy, nothing else will, right? You need to draw them in. You need to give them that experience you promised. And if you do, the first pages will act as proof that the rest of the book is going to provide the value and the emotional experience that you already told them was going to happen. Okay? I noticed that, like with the sales description, that's an example of copywriting, right? Oops. More arrows all over the place. But you get the point. The sales description is copywriting, okay? It's going to be conveying your irresistible offer, which is going to be part of your big idea, right? It's going to convey the promise. And a good copywriter who can write a kick-ass sales description is also going to convey the unique mechanism, right? And I can think of one of my favorite crime writers, Elmore Leonard. The sales descriptions on his book read with such a cool attitude, right? They promise the emotion cool, which is very hard to describe, but if you get it, you don't need anybody to describe it, right? Kind of the cliche about cool. If you don't get it, you're not cool. That's the emotion that the sales descriptions on his book capture, right? That's what the copy manages to do. So the sales description fits the unique mechanism because Elmore Leonard had a really cool style. Like all the characters, they sounded cool. He wrote in such a way that it captured their voices and personalities. And the books always turned out where not necessarily the most moral character turned out ahead in the end, but the coolest. And at any point, if a character stopped being cool, they usually got killed, right? That's how he decided who got to live and die in his fiction. That was part of his unique mechanism, his style. Part of what he's famous for. And so the sales description, the copywriting that they did, captured that emotion, captured that experience, which came from the unique mechanism, right? And of course it's crime fiction, so it was making promises that every other book in the genre did, and then here's what made it stand out, and the copy communicated that to people, right, to the audience. So those are the first things you need to sort out, right? And notice the copy is the last. The actual creation of your marketing materials comes last. The most important thing is audience. And again, I'll do some more videos specifically about how to find out who your audience is and where they hang out and all of that good stuff. It's a lot of research, right? Marketing is not necessarily the most fun thing all the time because the bulk of the work you need is going to be the research before you even get to the fun stuff like copywriting. Right, so you start with audience, figure out what your big idea is, what promise does your category in the marketplace make, and then what's your take on that promise, right? What else are you giving that other people in your market are not? Okay, and that'll position yourself. Another big marketing buzzword, if you've ever taken a Marketing 101 class, position yourself in the market and against your competition. And you convey that, convey your big idea to your audience using the irresistible offer to give them an emotional pull, and your marketing argument to give them a logical push. And then, once you've figured all of that out, you write your copy, which is going to actually convey all of those things. So if you're starting your marketing attempts, or maybe you're already going, but they're not working and you don't know why, check each of these things, right? Do your homework on each of them. Figure out if you need to put more time and thought into each of these steps, right? Because if you just jump in without it and you're not seeing results, well, there's your answer right there. Okay. And it all involves a certain amount of testing, which we'll talk about in other videos as well. But you always want to be thinking about, who am I providing value for? Who's looking for the value that my book provides? And then how do I tell them that I've got the value that they're looking for? And if you do that, you'll be off to a good start. So if you liked this video, remember to subscribe for more content like it. Hit that thumbs up. It really does help me out a lot, especially getting the channel going. And leave a comment down below if you have questions or concerns or just want to say hello. And again, find me on Twitter at MSantosAuthor. I do daily marketing tips, such as these, and post about my writing and the process and all that. If you enjoyed this video, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.